showtime. That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World. And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's 7 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 14th day of November. My mama's birthday. My best friend Amy's birthday. Luke Tim, one of my pastors' birthday. And who did I forget? Melissa Dale from Hope.
And I have a cousin and my my daughter's mother birthdays today.
Your daughter's mother?
Yes.
Well, that's a nice way of saying the old, I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, I don't want to, and I sent her a happy birthday wish.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
On Facebook?
Yes.
Why don't you send her a card in the mail? Old-fashioned way.
That is old-fashioned.
Why don't you send her flowers?
Donald Trump says tweeting and Facebook is the wave of the future, so I reluctantly joined in.
Donald Trump. There he is again. I still can't believe it. President-elect Donald Trump. Now, Bob, when you and I and Frank went up to Stevens Auditorium, no, where were we at?
C.Y. Stevens.
C.Y. Stevens.
Yeah.
And we saw Donald Trump 2 summers ago.
Right.
And he said, when the guy from Fox News asked him if he's ever...
Frank
Luntz. Yeah.
Asked him if he's ever asked God for forgiveness. And his answer was, no, I don't think I've ever required any forgiveness. And you and I were sitting next to each other.
Yeah, I thought he was done.
The whole room just went, oh. And then it was baffle after baffle after baffle. And what I mean by that is he just baffled us.
Yeah.
And he was like a weeble. You couldn't knock him down.
Well, you
And now he is the president. He's going to be the next president.
Right.
Of the United States.
Right. But he was your first choice, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was.
Yeah, until he said something that I just couldn't handle anymore.
Right, right.
But, when he won the deal, I'm supporting him.
Right.
Bob and I was up sitting in the balcony watching, and when he come out on the stage, and I think you guys were still down doing a live radio broadcast, and Tom Coates was down with you all, and you asked me to commentate on some things that I had witnessed from the speeches, and I made the mention, you guys were talking about what he had said about McCain's war service, and you were talking about the fact that he had never asked forgiveness for anything, and I said, well, you guys haven't heard the big one yet, have you? And you guys shook your
what
head.
Was that?
No, and I said, well, he said that he was asked that if he wasn't the nominee, would he potentially run third party? And there was a roar that came from behind me that said, yes! When he said that he wouldn't commit to not run third party. And when I told Tom that and told you that, Tom about fell off his chair.
Anyway, I don't want to talk politics today. I just can't. I think I'm glad. I guess. I mean, it's kind of anything but Hillary,
But he also had more evangelical votes, as I understand it, than Mitt Romney or McCain.
But I think what you're alleging to or alluring to is the fact that look how far we've came since
we've come.
How far we've come since we were all up in C.Y. Stevens back in May of 2015.
I know, that's a long time ago.
All right. Speak of the devil. That's by the way, I want to say this. Frank just mentioned when we were going through the newscast that I just seem a little irritable. And I think I have been for a couple months now. And I just apologize to you, the listener. I wear my radio show on my sleeve. I mean, if anybody who knows me off the radio knows that I'm not much different off the radio than I am on. Believe it or not, I'm quieter. Because I don't... I never used to be. I wanted to always be the center of attention because I had I had the ego the size of Manhattan and insecurity the size of, ego the size of Manhattan and security, self-security the size of a pea. I mean, I just, bleh. My identity was in who I was and what I did and what I had rather than who loves me, like Jesus. And so anyway, sorry if I'm a little irritable. I don't know what to do about that. Frank said take a vacation. And, I'm fortunate enough, if you're a new listener to this show, I own this show. I don't have a boss. If you want to call and complain to the boss, you're going to talk to me. There is nobody that can fire me. There is nobody that can take me off the air. Obviously, the FCC could. But, and I know the rules of the Truth Network, and I don't break them. You know, if you were creating a relationship with someone, and you said to them, "What's the worst thing I could possibly do to you?" and they told you, you'd never do that, right? And then if you said to them, "What's the best thing I could ever do for you?" and they told you, and you did that a lot, you know you're going to miss the first big fight, thank God. So it's not so hard to get along with the people that are in control of this network. First of all, they're very good people. Chris Roloff, Mike Carbone, Stu Epperson Sr. Jr., they're really good people. But I own the show. And so I don't have anybody who comes up to me at 5:05 in the afternoon. "I want to talk about what you said on the show. I didn't think that was really very correct. I got a listener that called in, and they're complaining and they're threatening to boycott our advertising." They're my advertisers. So, and that's a problem in a way, because I don't know.
I found
don't have to play nice if I don't want to, I guess.
I found one
I'm not very proud of that.
I found one thing not to do to Mac.
Uh-oh.
Don't tell him that he can't do that or say that on air.
Yeah, right.
Because he will usually do it.
What was the one we had last week? Roloff said, "Don't say something on the air," and I don't remember what it was. Poor guy, I feel sorry for him. Just don't say that on the air. So I
don't know, but most of the time I just see Roloff over here about ready to roll his eyes and fall off the chair because he can't believe he just did what.
Anyway, and Frank said, "Well, take a vacation." Because I obviously I can go whenever I want, and I'm not saying that kind of stuff to be big or important or Mr. Big Deal or anything like that. It's just my life. At age 57, I've gotten to this point in my life where I am independent, and I don't have to want for much, and I don't need for hardly anything. And I have the greatest job in the world. I get to get on the radio and talk about Jesus every day. I mean, we were on WHO last night. Brian Leach and I were doing the Prophet Zone on News Radio. Oh, anyway, that's another thing Roloff
That's
hates.
another one of the things.
On Brand X. Anyway, and we started talking about Jesus. And I didn't even think about the fact that I was on a secular radio station, and you're not supposed to talk about... Brian and I are talking about how Jesus helps him run his business.
Did you get some blowback?
No, we didn't.
Oh.
We actually didn't.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure Mike DeWart got a bunch of calls today, and Joel McGrath, that guy's talking about Jesus again. Anyway, I got the greatest job in the world. I work with the best people. I mean, I give Frank a bad time, but I love the man deeply. I'm so glad he's here. Bob and I have been together for a long time. Jebediah is one of the best young men I've ever met, and the job that he does producing this show is exceptional. Now, there is Chris Roloff Grouchy Pants. That's what we call him. His name's on the door, by the way. If you don't believe me, I'll take a picture of it and put it on Facebook. His name on the door is Grouchy Pants, because he's a Grouchy Pants.
Now, Mac,
But he's still great to work with.
when you were on 98.3
Yeah.
years ago with Bradshaw, didn't you talk about Jesus there?
I had we had the show The View from a Pew every Friday, and I had pastors come in. That's how I met Pastor Mike. I had pastors come in and talk about faith and values, and really I was talking about social issues, because I had one rule: no Bible verses. Because as a man who got convicted by Bible verses on the inside, but on the outside got angry, Bible verses were things like those little rubber bats that you buy, and they just pounded them on my head. So I didn't even, I mean, I believed in Jesus. I knew who he was, but I thought God trumped him. I didn't get the Trinity. I just absolutely did not get the Trinity. And so I thought, the first commandment is thou shalt have no other gods but me. I thought for sure I'd get to heaven. I'd say, how'd I do, God? And he'd say, well, you screwed up on the first one. And I'd say, huh? He'd say, yeah, you have Jesus. And I'd say, God, you told me to have Jesus. And God would say, no, they did. I didn't. So I kind of hedged my bet all the time. I believed in Jesus. I knew who he was. But I thought God trumped Jesus, and that's the way it is.
Well, verses are just a way to point to where something specifically is in the book. But
I get that.
But
now.
When I talk about the Bible, and I think this is one of the first things that you said, and I won't even call it a compliment, but this is one of the first things you said about me, and we were kind of exchanging some ideas on Facebook and what have you. You just said you're telling a story, you're telling a narrative, you're telling what the book says without necessarily pointing to a particular verse. You're telling a story. This book is a story. It's talking about, and it's telling some of the ugly things. It doesn't tell just all the nice, pretty things. God uses these men, and shows their flaws. Moses is a great example. David is a great example. And it also shows that God can't allow disobedience under any circumstance, because Moses was not able, as much as God loved Moses, he didn't get to take the people into the promised land. And as much as God loved David, he didn't allow David to build the temple because of his transgression. So
what?
Well, you got 14 seconds to get out. It was just the point that
you just
it's a story. It's a narrative. And
you can pick that up when we come back. All right. Anyway, back to the topic today. Man, did you see that rabbit trail right there? Boom! Little rabbit foo-foo's gone.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 4 o'clock, 14th day of November. Lots of birthdays today. Happy birthday to you. If you ever want me to wish somebody a happy birthday, you can just call me and tell me, or do a Facebook or whatever. I'm glad to do that. You know, this radio show isn't so important that I can't take the time to tell your child or your mother or your father or your spouse or your pastor happy birthday. It used to not. What I used to do is I used to call people on their birthday and put them on the radio. But the FCC frowns on that nowadays. This was back in the day when they don't care.
Why do they frown on it?
Oh, you're not supposed to put people on the radio unless they know they're going to be on the radio. You know.
Oh, I see. So you were calling them, they didn't know.
Oh, I was calling. Yeah, I'd like your phone would ring at your home or your desk. Frank? Yeah, Frank, how are you? It's Bubba. What's going on? Who's this? Come on, Bubba, from over on 2nd Avenue. You and I always end up hanging out at the barbecue stand. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that out loud. Anyway, hey, happy birthday.
Yeah,
thanks. Yeah, Sarah told me to call you and wish. Oh, you know Sarah. Oh, yeah, Sarah and I we're tight, man, me and Sarah. Who is this really? Bubba. I'm not comfortable with this. All right, but thanks for calling. Wait a minute, hold on, Bubba. Hold on. You're live on the radio in Max World. I'm what? And somebody complained to the FCC. I did that, years ago on WHO. Somebody complained. And so they kind of frown against that, and especially when it's not for... I mean, if I was doing that to try to do a journalistic story or something, that might be different, but to just horse around. But anyway, got a birthday, let me know.
So now that you're on the cloud with everything you do now, it's not as easy and not as fun to do those things like it used to be in the good old days.
Well, you just can't get away with it anymore. I mean, podcasts and stuff like that. And anybody can listen to this show anytime. I mean, you're listening to this show live, but somebody else is going to be listening to this show on podcast tonight or tomorrow. And I've been going back and forth with a guy on Facebook today because there's this stupid post that who's the guy that runs or used to run the KKK and ran for office?
David Duke.
Yeah, that Trump's going to make him head of race relations in the Obama administration. And I know it's funny. But see, the low information voters believe that stuff. And then all of a sudden, somebody will say, did you see Donald Trump is going to put David? Oh, man, idiot. Do you have stupid written on your forehead or not? Yes, you do. Look, it's right there. Anyway, this guy's and I are going back and forth, and he doesn't like me. He doesn't like you either, too, Frank.
Oh, well, we're in good company.
We're in good company. And he's a Jew. He's Jewish, and I love Jewish people. I think I'm partly Jewish. Well, I know I am. If you love Jesus, you're part Jew. But this guy listens to us on podcasts. Now, that weirds me out. Because he doesn't like us.
He doesn't like me either?
Doesn't say anything about you.
Oh, okay.
Well,
everybody likes you, Bob. You don't do anything except to the drunks to make them mad.
That's a compliment when people that don't like you listen.
I get it, but anyway.
Speaking of that, I do have a text that came in.
Oh, yeah, I love this. From the Service Legends Truth Talk text line at 515-809-0993. Brought to you by First Call Bail Bonds, reminding you not to text and drive.
And this texter says, I always try to avoid weird people, especially in an elevator.
Who said that?
No name.
Do you think they were referring to moi? Because of what I talked about.
Well, you'll have to tell the audience what you were doing from the last hour, or tell the new audience this hour from last hour what you were doing on elevators.
I used to, our studios used to be down on the Skywalk, and I'd just get bored. And so I'd go ride the elevator to the top of the principal building or to the top of the hub tower or the financial center or whatever. And the financial center, they can skip the lower floors and they just kind of fly up. So if you wait to get on those, then you know you're going to be on the elevator for a while with somebody.
Those are express elevators.
Express elevators. And so I'd get on an elevator, and everybody else is there looking up at the number, going floor 1, floor 2, ding, ding, ding. So I just say to somebody, hey, I'm Mac. Do you have a relationship with the accuser? Oh, my. Oh, my, my. Oh, my.
Because they were thinking that maybe you were talking about their boss.
Yeah, right, probably. Oh, you mean David Hurd? Yeah, I know who that is. No, anyway.
And you had a young lady go off on you about that?
Yeah, she just, whoa, man. I to be honest with you, I didn't feel safe with her in the elevator. She could have squashed me like a bug. She was a big old woman. Bigger. She just could have sat on me and called the police.
I'm just going to sit on you till we get off the elevator. And then I'm going to throw you down the elevator shaft for asking me such a foolish question. Do I have a relationship with the accuser?
And here's the funny thing. I saw her one time in the skywalk, and she shook her finger at me as she walked by me because she
remembered you?
Yeah. That's kind of the topic, though, today, is do you have a relationship with the accuser? And I want somebody to call me up and tell me no. Please.
Maybe you're that woman that was on the elevator.
No, I want you. If you don't think you don't have a relationship with the accuser, my ears are open and I am listening.
Well, as Christians, we don't want to have one.
I didn't say do you want one.
I know, but I'm saying that's where most people immediately react. Oh, I'm the son of a risen king. Well, the son of a risen king doesn't get attacked by Satan?
Yeah, how about them 40 days in the desert? Yeah. That wasn't any fun.
Exactly. So that's the point. I mean, when we used to be in sin and we were in bondage to sin, we felt like we had the relationship. But now that we're the son or daughter of a risen king, we feel like we've kind of elevated above that. But we're still under spiritual attack from Satan and his minions because they've followed our bloodline. They've studied the history of our family. They know just how to directly attack us in a temptation that they know we can fall to.
Absolutely. And the accuser knows every simple thing that he can do to come after me. And the point of the matter is, after Jesus mugged me 6 years ago, he's just all over me. I mean, he lost me. I was his number one dude around here. Well, not number one, but I hung with number one.
Well, I
didn't care. I didn't have a conscience.
That tells you that you're making an impact.
I guess.
You ought to wear that as a badge of honor.
Yeah, but not when you lose some of the things I've lost.
Well, I know, but count it as a privilege that Satan is attacking you because you're making a difference in people's lives.
I tell you what, I understand what you're saying, Frank, but that's a humble thing to think. Because what I've lost in my life, the relationships that I've lost, the friends I've lost, things that are dear to me.
But Christ,
piece of my heart type of stuff.
Christ himself said that I came not to send peace, but came to send a sword to set at variance a mother against her daughter, a son against the father, sons-in-laws, daughters-in-laws against in-laws, to set people apart, to make decisions, to stand for him. Now, he may end up in the end repairing those relationships, but he wants to get someone to stand out and stand up for him.
Well, I am, but I don't know, you just shouldn't. But I guess you do lose things when you surrender your life to Jesus.
Sometimes Christ has to allow every personal relationship we have to fail us, so that we will know that we can only rely on Christ.
Well, how about you work on failing this one for a while, Frank? How about you do that? Maybe you and I should take a vacation. Maybe we should just take a real long road trip. And then we'd be in the car on the interstate, and I could, if you didn't like what I was saying, I could just pull over and drop you off. You'd have to listen to me. No, anyway. We were talking about vacations earlier, because I really want a vacation. I mean, we've been running this radio station. Chris Roloff is just doing an amazing job, and Ron, I mean, everybody on the show, and I'm just beat. Of course, we are going to Jerusalem here in almost a month, 14th, 5th, so it's 34 days, 35 days. We're in Jerusalem.
You're leaving the 18th?
18th or 19th, depending on, how we go. And right now, Jill has us going through Newark, New Jersey. But it's straight from here to Newark, and then it's like 6 hours on the ground, and then it's straight to Tel Aviv. See, that's going to be interesting to see the spiritual warfare around that trip.
Yeah, that.
I talked to my small group yesterday, and I said, because we were talking about spiritual warfare, which is kind of a new concept to some of them. And I said, Satan came and attacked you and your family somehow this morning or last night, trying to make sure that you didn't go to church today to hear the message. And everybody just kind of looked at me, and a couple guys kind of shaking their head, and they shared a couple stories of how, I wasn't going to come, or I thought maybe I'd sleep in, or it was too dark, or it was too cold, or my clocks didn't change. I guess that was last weekend. But I wonder what he's going to do. Man, I don't even want to talk about it.
There's some interesting things going on in the world right now as we speak. Bob had a story about it on Christian News, but I've also heard some other anecdotal type things that Muslims are starting to turn to Christianity in small waves because they just find that Islam is an empty, hollow shell of something that's not worth believing in, and they're turning to Jesus Christ. Bob had a story about that on Christian News earlier. He was showing me. I don't know if he can pull that.
Well, here it says, meanwhile, in Iran, revival. Hundreds of thousands come to Jesus in Iran. Why there's an unquenchable revival raging through Iran. Now over 300,000 converts to Christ.
So this trip you're going to have to Jerusalem may play into this a little bit, that the gospel is getting spread to people who wouldn't normally hear it.
Yeah, I've got some brothers in my small groups, my Bible studies, that Terry, for one, has just looked at me and said, you don't realize what's going to happen to you yet. And he says that in a good way and not a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
He believes that the mission that we're going to be on to take these water purifying systems over, and we're going to talk about that later on the air. You don't know anything about. Well, you do know something about it. We've had the guys from SWIM, Safe Water International Ministry. We're taking hundreds of these things over. These little, they hold them in a hand, and regular salt water. I'm sorry, regular salt and any kind of water makes chlorine, and that chlorine cleans up drinking water, and the water table is so low coming out around the Gaza and the West Bank that the water isn't safe to drink all the time. So that's one of the reasons we're going over to do that.
Yeah, they call that a CPU. It's the unit, chlorine producing unit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I know that, but the spiritual warfare, I mean, what's going to happen? I don't even want to think about it. I mean, what do you got to do to stop somebody from getting on a plane?
You can't.
What?
You can't. In a free society, that's impossible to stop.
But the devil, what's he going to do?
Well, the Bible talks somewhere, I can't point to it exactly, but it talks about evil men will plot against you and God will foil their plots. It depends on what God has for you to finish on this earth. If he's done with you and the work that he set out for you to complete is done, your life, you may go home to be with him, as they say.
Yeah.
But if there's more you need to do, God will make sure their plots are foiled.
Well, we were talking about telling her happy birthday. I want to say hi to Randy King. Randy got his finger all gnawed up by a chainsaw today, or some kind of saw. So Jill took him to the ER, and now he's laying on his back with his hand above his head, and we're just praying for him. Lord, just help him to be painless and get up and start working again. Lazy boy. Coming back live on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News. And then Hank, the Bible Answer Man at 1-888-ASK-HANK. Call in now. Get on the show. Frank is the one of the most common callers. You know, I need to call Dr. Michael Brown one of these days. I need to ask him a question. I listened to something he evangelized on like in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I want to see if he still agrees with that.
He's changed his
yeah, he really has.
beliefs over the years, because I think he started out, wasn't he a Calvinist, Mom?
Yes, I know that. He and I talked about that when he was in Des Moines.
Michael Brown, what's he consider?
Yeah, he was.
Messianic Jew, does he consider himself now?
Yes. All right, let's go to the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line at 515-809-0993. We've got an interesting text here from Dave.
Okay, let me start this. It says, wait a minute, that means I'm Jewish and I like Jesus, but I'm really Polish?
Yeah, that's because I said earlier we're all Jewish. I mean, we're all...
Oh, okay.
We're all Jewish.
And then it goes on to say...
If you're a Christian, you're Jewish.
That goes on to say,
what I bet somebody will disagree. I'll bet you Spencer is just rolling over there at First Church of the Open Bible when I said that.
He'll disagree. What makes you want to talk about...
He disagrees with everything I say. Him and Ryan over at Harvest. Good Lord. Laurel and Hardy.
All right.
You going to listen to Mac today? No, I can't. Okay, I'll listen so we can find out all the crap he says I didn't write.
Yeah.
And we'll call Roloff and tell him.
All right, let me continue. What makes you want to talk about the accuser today? Was it something that happened yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on,
Hold on, let me explain that. So Dave and I and Shay and Kelly and Tina are leading Alpha over at Living Faith Lutheran. A bunch of us from Hope, with Hope's permission. In fact, it was more than their permission. They really supported the whole thing. Have been over at Living Faith Lutheran with Luke Tim teaching Alpha. And yesterday it was how do we resist evil? That was the topic yesterday. So that's why he means that.
Okay. You know, I have not listened to you in a long time on the radio.
Oh, thanks. You didn't have to stretch out the long like that. You could have just said I haven't listened to you like since last week.
Something has changed, and you sound happy like you're actually having fun. Maybe I need to listen to you more.
I think that would be a good idea, Dave. Maybe you just need a little bit of more macaroni in your life. And a little less Dave. All right, 20 minutes before the top of the hour, 244-0077. That's the number you can call if you'd like to comment on our conversation about do you have a relationship with the accuser. 515-244-0077. Do you have a relationship with the accuser?
Well, I'm interested in Dave's text a little bit there, talking about does he believe he's Jewish? I mean, we're told that we're grafted into the body of Christ. God's body is Israel. So we're grafted in where there's neither Jew, Greek, Gentile, circumcised or uncircumcised. So I call it that we're grafted into what is called spiritual Israel.
Yeah, right. And
so that's why aren't we all Jews?
Well, who disagrees with that? Once again,
I don't live in the physical land of Israel. I don't live in Jerusalem, but I am of a kindred spirit and a spiritual brother to those in Jerusalem or Israel who believe in Jesus Christ, such as Stephen Curry. He's a brother in Christ. He actually lives in the physical land, and I'm his spiritual brother. And I have never been in Israel. I've never been in Jerusalem. So I am in the body of Christ. So I am engrafted in spiritual Israel, where we're all Jews.
Well, I think there's a verse that talks about there won't be a Jew or Gentile, but one new man. Doesn't that sound familiar to you?
Little bit.
I'll have to try to look that up, find that verse.
Yeah. So, Dave, I that's the way I feel. Obviously, I don't want to say anything that's unbiblical, at least not in this 30 seconds. But when I read Romans and I read Ephesians, especially Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, of course.
2.
I just don't know how any Christian can deny the fact that if we're Christian, then we're Jewish. I mean, I guess you could be a Gentile now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. But we're all, like you said, we're all grafted in.
We're all grafted
to the
in.
vine of Israel. Well, if you disagree with that, you can call up and tell me. 515-244-0077. Except you, Spencer. I got no time. It's your day off, preacher boy. Just sit at home and play with the kids, all right? For heaven's sakes. Don't need to critique macaroni on this Monday, the 14th day of November. So here's my example of having a relationship with the accuser. So when I lived on the ritzy side of town, so glad I don't live over there anymore. Bless you if you live there. It's just not my style. Hadn't been my style ever. Spent 13 years over there in the ritzy land. I lived in an HOA, okay, homeowners association. And it was one of the most stringent homeowners associations anybody's ever seen. We had people who would come in and look at one of the townhouses in our townhouse circle, and they wouldn't live there because of the HOA. I'm not going to live under these restrictions. Well, I cared about as much about the HOA as I do about the Ku Klux Klan. Unnecessary, isn't needed, absolutely yesterday's news, and I don't care. If I want to put a pink flamingo or a white cross or an American flag or a picture of Jesus in my front yard at Christmas, guess what? I'm going to do it.
But wasn't you always harassed about that?
Absolutely.
Was it about the pink flamingo, though?
No, I never put a pink flamingo.
Okay.
But I put American flags up. I put white crosses up. I put pictures of Jesus up around. I didn't put stupid stuff up.
Now, is there certain times that they want you to put your Christmas lights up and take them down?
You can't have Christmas lights on the house.
At all?
At all, on the outside. They made the mistake of once telling me that I could put anything I wanted on the inside of my house, and if it could be seen from the outside, that's fine. So I had a light-up American flag made, and I put it in the front window, and I had like 240 watts on it. And they found a way to get that done anyway. Here's my point. Okay, here's my point. I didn't like them, and they didn't like me. There were 14 families, and I think I got along with about 2 of them, and that's it. Because every year, somebody new would come on the board, and then somebody new would get their giddy up going and tell me that I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. They told me I could not have, you know those simple white crosses that you buy? They're like,
yes.
They're like, what are they? Like 2 foot tall and 1.5 feet across. I couldn't have one of those. And I finally I finally got the city of Clive to send them a letter and said, that's a sign, or that's not a sign, it's a cross. They were telling me it was a sign.
And what did I say last hour about what happens when you tell Mac he can't do something?
So anyway, here's my point. Did I have a relationship with the homeowners association? Yes. Yes. It wasn't a good one. I didn't like it, and I'm so blessed not to have it anymore. But the point was I had a relationship with them. We had to find common ground to live on the same street. You have to find common ground with the accuser because you can't be sinless. And you're not the one that makes you sin. It's him. Remember the cartoon with the little devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other? And the devil's saying, you want to do this? It's going to be fun. And the angel's going, please don't do that. Jesus loves you. And somehow we think like a patrolman, we can hang our arm out to the right and push our arm out to the left and put our hands up. And we can hold off not only God, but the accuser. But there's this third will, this free will in the middle that says, you're in charge, Mac. No. Either you're in God's will or you're not. Either you're in God's will or you're not. There are not three wills in your life. You're either in God's will or you're not. And we all cannot be fully in God's will. That is not physically, fleshly, biblically correct. And so therefore, you have a relationship with the accuser. 515-244-0077. Call me. Tell me I'm wrong. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Here live on The Truth. 99.3 FM and Max World. The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes for the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News tomorrow. Brad Zahn and Tom Coates will be in here as we will talk about the state election returns.
And Brad won, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what it means to you and I that Branstad and the Republicans now control most of Iowa as far as the House and the Senate goes. And what that's going to mean for some legislation here in Terry Branstad's last 2 years. And, of course, we believe it is going to be his last 2 years. Can he run again legally? I think he can he?
I think so.
I think there's no time.
He can. I think he probably can, but the last time I saw him, he didn't look very stable. He looked like he was a little on the shaky side. I saw him down at the Lincoln dinner with Joni Ernst, and he was going up the escalator, and he didn't look like he had very solid step.
Well, he is, whatever he is, he's 68, I think.
I mean, I think if his health was there, he'd try it. I think he'd run again if he could.
Well, anyway, so we're going to talk about what's probably going to change in the next legislative session and what we can anticipate that will be passed and what will fail. And you got to remember, Gronstal lost.
Well,
Governor Gronstal lost his re-election out in Council Bluffs, and that's a big deal. Democrats just took a huge hit.
Well, they had the Congress half of the legislature, but they didn't have the Senate part. And this is the first time they've had the Senate. So I think Branstad is looking forward to getting some things done that he wasn't able to do in the past.
Well, hopefully one of it will be defunding Planned Parenthood, and I hope Donald Trump does something about this absolutely tragic insurance called Obamacare or American Care Act or whatever it is.
Yes, the Affordable Care Act. There's people in certain states that their premiums are going up 118%, I believe I heard. But the average is 22.5%, Bob, was that
22 to 25.
22 to 25% was the average, but some people are as high as 118%.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'll be a good conversation for everybody to have tomorrow when Tom Coates is here with Brad Zahn, and that'll be fun. And hopefully Chris Roloff will be home, he'll be well again, and maybe he's just playing hooky.
He's playing hooky.
He deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. All right, we got one phone call that I think I can get in here before we get to the end of the hour, because we are fast approaching the end of the hour. So let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live in Mac's World. Who's this?
This is Dick from Des Moines. How are you?
Hi, Dick from Des Moines. How are you?
Pretty good. I was going to comment on the idea that we are, in essence, spiritual Jews.
Okay, good. I'd like to hear from you.
Well, I'm thinking that since we're adopted into the family of Christ, and an adopted child becomes the spiritual, children of the adopting family, black, white, or indifferent, they're still going to be the faith of the adopting family. So in that sense, adopted in, we aren't the flesh of, but we are the adopted children of.
Yeah, that's a good point. I had never thought of it that way.
So in that sense, what you're saying makes sense.
Do you think it doesn't make sense in another way?
Not really. It's just that it basically, actually, it's the only thing that really does make sense in that sense. What doesn't make sense is the idea that some people think that we replace the Jews, because that doesn't actually happen. You can go through all sorts of scriptures to show that isn't the case.
Well, you would agree, Dick, I think, that God didn't abandon the Jewish people. He abandoned the Jewish nation as a literal nation, as a chosen nation. But those Jewish people, he loves those as much as he loves you and I, and he's wooing them as much as he woos you and I to enter into this relationship with him. And they need to come through, through the cross, just like you and I, right?
Right. And there's also going to be, of course, in the end times, the remnant. So there's going to be Jews that come to Christ even after. Our pastor is not necessarily doing pre-trib, so we're learning a whole new way of looking at it. But even if there's a pre-trib, there will be a remnant after. So he's not turning away from them as much as they turned away from him.
Yeah.
Which, of course, most of the world did.
You're spot on.
All right, Dick, man, I appreciate you calling up. Thanks. Even if you call and disagree, I still love you, and I still thank you for calling in and listening.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, Dick. All right, real quick, we've got wait, what do you got?
Text.
Okay, text from the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993, brought to you in part by First Call Bail Bonds, who reminds you not to text and drive. Robert?
Yes, you're not a Jew by being a Christian. It doesn't matter if you're a Jew or a Gentile for salvation. But the Bible clearly states that the promises given in the Old Testament were to Jews, not to Gentiles.
See, that's why you got to love. I mean, this is why non-believers have such a hard time with us. I perfectly understand that. But 7 or 8 years ago, I would have called that the ultimate hypocrisy, that one caller said, yeah, we could be Jewish, and the next caller says, no, we can't be. And the funny thing here about this is it's non-essential.
Well,
it doesn't change the fact that Jesus hung on the cross and shed all his blood for every sin before, during, and after his entire life. And for that, we get the free gift of salvation, which we cannot earn and we cannot lose.
Would the texter agree that we are one body in Christ? Whatever that body is and whoever's included is one body.
All right, real quick before we run out of time here, Pastor Gary Moon is on the phone. Gary, how are you?
Well, Brother Mac, pretty good, brother. I've been in the hospital for 14 days, and I had a gallbladder attack, and I just want to say I really appreciate Bob coming up to see me. Bob come up to Mercy Hospital and see me, and brother, I still have that book for you on spiritual warfare, and I'm going to get it to you before you go to Israel.
Hey, Gary, are you still in the hospital, or are you in a nursing facility now?
No, I just got home a few days ago.
Oh, great.
They wouldn't take me in the nursing facility. I didn't have, actually, I just didn't have the right insurance.
Right.
So I had to go home here, but just wanted to let you guys know I appreciate you praying for me and appreciate Bob coming up. And Bob, my son really enjoyed meeting you. Bob was up there when my son from Kansas City was there.
Yes, it was fun to see and meet him too. Yeah. Well, you're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so anyway, guys, but Mac, I will get that book to you, brother, here just as soon as I can get up to the studio. I'm just so weak; it's sort of hard to walk right now.
All right, well, you let me know, Gary, and we'll get that book because I love Gary Moon. What a great guy! All right, we're out of here for the day. I was wrong; it's not Brad John tomorrow; it's Will Rogers, but the same conversation about the local because he's head of Polk County Republicans. So find out what's going on there. It's going to be a great week here in Mac's World, and we thank you for taking the time to listen and being a part of it. And I love my job, and I couldn't do it without you. Remember to forgive. It's the one thing Jesus taught. Everything else, non-essential. Forgive, love, and make sure that God is the main squeeze in your life. I'll catch you tomorrow.